Hello folks, how are you doing? Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the Blackmagic Pyxis 12K and what makes it so great. And we are going to talk about something really cool that Dean May, who is the Blackmagic USA president, which was interviewed by Anthony Rodriguez, and he spilled out really some cool facts. And especially one thing that I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be super excited about, which is the autofocus, which is new. And for what I've seen, it works really well, especially in the tracking mode, which works better than Lumix tracking mode, which is, that box thing that you press and then it starts tracking you around. Lumix still kind of hasn't really figured out how to actually really use it well, but Blackmagic did. And it actually came in sooner than later in the rest of the lineup of cameras. But let's go into the video and we talk about that a little bit later on. So the amazing thing about this camera is the fact that it's coming in a 12K sensor. Basically is in the body of the Pyxis 6K, which was released last year. And it's coming basically with the newer sensor that it was in the LF Blackmagic camera that was released last year alongside the Pyxis 6K. And now we are receiving that amazing sensor down into the Pyxis body. With some limitations though, obviously, because that camera had a beefier body, a better memory system, and so on, that we will talk about later on into the video. So that 12K sensor is the same that it was in the LF camera, or Blackmagic LF camera that was released last year. One of the things that I actually forgot to talk about is this sensor, how amazing this sensor is and how unique this sensor is, because this sensor uniqueness is the fact that this sensor can not only shoot in 12K, but it can shoot in 9K, it can shoot in 8K, and it can shoot in 4K by using the whole weight of the sensor. So they are basically upscaling, and it's quite amazing, because usually what that other cameras will do is about like cropping into the sensor instead of like shooting the whole width of the sensor. But this camera basically just give you in whatever resolution you want to shoot, it will just give you that resolution, but basically upscaling it. And it's amazing how they do it. And the readout speeds are actually really good. They're not going to be as much as, of course, the cinema camera LF that they have, because the LF has a beefier body. It has a different memory slot, that freaking 8 terabyte of memory slot, and that is able to read at exceptional readouts. But this camera still has pretty exceptional readouts. So let me just get this here from my computer to the big monitor. So basically it's quite amazing. In 12K 3x2, it reads at 40 frames per second. So basically it shoots up to 40 frames per second, and the readout in OpenGate is 24.12 milliseconds. You will not expect, of course, in such a small body, a sensor that can read out as so fast pace, because I don't even think that the CFexpress card, the CFexpress card, can actually tolerate so much speed if the sensor was even faster. So I don't think so. But then if you go down to the 16:9, you can shoot up to 45 frames per second, and the readout gets better at 20.74. Then still in 12K, you can shoot at a 17:9 up to 50 frames per second. The readouts will get better even, and will go to 19.44. Then still in 12K, you can shoot at an aspect ratio of 2.4 to 1, and it goes to 60 frames per second, and the readout speed gets pretty good. It gets at basically at 15.34 frame per second readout speed milliseconds. And then you can shoot at kind of almost square-ish 6:5 up to 40 frames per second. Basically, the readout speed goes back to the other OpenGate, because this is another form of OpenGate optimized for anamorphic. So the readout speed is the same as the 3:2, so 24:12. So you can shoot basically in 8K OpenGate up to 72 frames per second, and it gets so better. The sensor becomes so fast. So what I would suggest is with this camera to never shoot in 12K or even 8K, as you can see later. But in 8K, the sensor gets so good. Basically in 3:2 OpenGate, you can shoot up to 72 frames per second. And the readout speed is 13.51. In 6:9, it gets up to 84 frames per second, and the readout speed, it becomes 11.6 milliseconds. Then in 17:9, you can shoot up to 90 frames per second, and the readout speed is 10.89 milliseconds. Then in 2.4 to 1 or by 1, you can get up to 100 frames per second, so 112 frames per second. And the readout speed is 8.59. And then you have the OpenGate 6:5 optimized for anamorphic, 13.51 milliseconds. Boy, that's amazing. Then if you go in the 4K, so basically this is 4K upscaling to 12K, it's basically the same as the 8K, so no need to go by there. Then it seems like the 9K though, it's in Super 35. So it seems like, and that's amazing. That's so impressive. Of course, if you go to the bigger brother in the LF, these measurements are basically cut by half. So that sensor is so good and so fast that in the LF, you basically forget about rolling shutter, and it's amazing. But obviously it comes with a beefier body and a beefier memory, which is kind of integrated into it. So that is pretty much it. It's still going to have that impressive 12 stops of usable dynamic range. And during that interview, Anthony Rodriguez asked the president if those are actually, the stops that you can actually use. And we know that Blackmagic don't play with our dynamic range values, because they have always been somehow accurate. But you have to understand that those dynamic range are based on, kind of a good lighting system and a beautiful, like perfect scenery and stuff like that, where the light is on point, which in films, obviously you're gonna do that. So this 16 readout is actually a true 16 stops of dynamic range. A little bit less, probably, but you're still having, anyway, between 15 and 16 stops of dynamic range. And are you going to complain about that? I don't think so. So that it's super amazing. Now, finally, the Pyxis has a real 12G DCI readout. So the DCI is finally a 12G, 6G, 12G, depending which monitor you're using and what your monitor will support, which means you're gonna get a real 4K put out to a monitor that, of course, supports 4K readout. So that is a really, really good move from Blackmagic, which I think last year the Pyxis 6K still has the classic 3G, if I'm not mistaken, but that's what I think it had. But now you have the 12G SDI. As last year, It doesn't have an HDMI because it's the same body, so that's be it. But I've seen all the people using it haven't had any issue with it, so I don't really think there is any issue with that. It's still going to use the classic BPU batteries, which is amazing because many cameras out there are using it. There is plenty of them out there, third parties, first parties. You will find a lot of them at a really good price, and they pack really a lot of power, so that is really good. Then you're still gonna get your USB-C recording externally through an SSD, so you have that. Then you're gonna have an Ethernet connection, so you're gonna have a 10 gigabyte Ethernet connection, and then you're going to be able to use the USB-C to basically tether your phone internet if you want to use that. And this is really important because you are able to stream straight from the camera, right? So Blackmagic has their own streaming system, and that's one of the things that makes Blackmagic really a good company, because they have all their streaming things, which is first party and stuff like that. So they are able to build inside their camera straight some streaming systems inside the camera and stuff like that. So that's what they did. You can stream straight from the camera if you have internet possibility or internet connected to it. And that's why you have the Ethernet 10 gigabyte of Ethernet connection, or you can tether from your phone by connecting the USB-C. And that is really cool and comes in really handy, especially in some weddings or some events where they just want to have live streaming with people who are in different parts of the world. So that is really cool. This camera, or the record memory, is going to be basically a dual CFexpress type B cards, which super cool, redundancy and stuff like that. And you're not going to have any type of SD card inside it because it's so big, and it's unnecessary to have SD cards because you're never going to use them. They are not useful, only for one reason they could be useful, and that is for proxy. But what Blackmagic has done is that you can basically just record proxies straight to their integrated Blackmagic Cloud program, straight from the camera, so the cloud system. So if you have, of course, internet connection and everything, you can basically, while you're recording, be creating immediately proxies straight to the cloud. So that is an amazing system that Blackmagic is basically creating. Let's talk about the autofocus a second. So this is really important because the autofocus might be actually coming into this camera not in years but in months. So during this interview between Anthony Rodriguez and the president of Blackmagic USA, he said that they are so well advanced with this autofocus system that he thinks that in months, so in a few months, so most probably before fall, so during summer or during fall, before the winter, let's say so, they will probably be rolling out this AF autofocus system to the rest of the cameras. Now it's only on the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K, which was the first full frame 6K camera that they put out there with the older pocket body. So only with the L mount one, because they have the PL and then they have the EF. So he said that they are going to basically test the waters with this L mount version, and for what I saw is working amazingly. And then they're going to work on the EF one and then release it for the rest of the lineups. So I'm not sure if the pocket cameras are going to get the AF. They might not, or they might. That's something that he didn't really specify, but at least we know that it's coming sooner than later. So it's amazing for all the people who shoot Blackmagic, because they have been requesting a good AF, and it seems like Blackmagic have been working hard behind the scenes, especially with what we saw with DaVinci Resolve. Boy, oh goodness, some real goodness going on in there. I will talk about that too a little bit further, but stay on the channel, subscribe, because that video is going to come probably next month, because I'm moving soon into a new house. We are building a new studio in there, so there's a lot going on behind the scenes. But yeah, stay tuned for that. And then basically the camera is going to be available basically in July. So basically from July onwards, they're going to release it. The specific date, he didn't say, but from July, you will have it. The price is going to be $4,995, so $4,995, 5,014.80 pounds. And then in euros, it's going to be 5,889.71 euros. So this will vary a little bit. I think these prices are included already the tariffs, because I think Blackmagic is the only company as for now that it's actually counting already the tariffs inside their prices. And this camera is going to come with the classic L mount, PL, and the EF mount. And one of the things that Blackmagic is trying to do that I think it's really amazing is to try to basically move around the production of the gears, right? Because now I think they produce in Australia, Malaysia, like in different parts of the world, they produce different parts of the things, because we know Blackmagic is such a big company and they produce everything in-house, because they have the video switchers, they have the streaming platform things, they have the camera for the stream, like broadcasting and everything. Like they have such a wide range of things that they cannot produce all in one house. So because of the tariffs, they are actually going to try and switch things around so that they will not need to, you know, sell us so much expensive stuff, for example. Like, and that's, I think it's really, really thoughtful. Of course, it's for them too to not be paying so much to create, you know, the gear. But at the same time, it's cool that they are thinking about us, because they always have amazing prices for what they actually deliver. And it's cool that they are trying to figure out ways to, like, you know, try to bring things at a good price by just switching production places, because the tariffs, according to where you are, they will be higher or they will be lower. So chapeau for Blackmagic for actually thinking about that, and let's see how things will actually end up being, or how things will actually go. But it's quite cool that Blackmagic is actually doing this. But hey, thank you for staying here with me and chatting with me. Write me down below in the comments, how excited are you to see what is coming in the future? What would you like to see more from the channel when it comes to gear and stuff? Because I'm a little bit in the fence of like what to do and stuff like that. I'm going to review some cool things coming soon, but as for now, what would you like to see more? And let's chat about this camera. What are the things that excite you the most about this company? Because we don't give enough credit to Blackmagic, but they are the most innovative company out there, I think, in conjunction with Sony, because Sony has the global shutter and the electronic VND, or the ND filter system, that nobody is still doing except Fuji. Fuji just actually came out with their own version of the electronic ND, and I think Tilta has come out with their own version too. But hey, it's great. It's a great year to be a camera lover. A lot of innovation, a lot of cool stuff. A little bit less money than usual, but it's still cool to talk about it, and who knows, to get to try it and stuff. So yeah, guys, hope you're taking good care of yourself, and I hope you're doing well mentally, physically, And thank you for the support, and thank you for watching. I'm pretty sure, and hopefully, I'm gonna see you in the next one. Take good care of yourself again. Bye.